that's on the video.
Don't bite your nails. Please don't bite your nails right now. Right, this improv game is called Advance and Colour In, or Advance and Fill. That sounds really technical and really boring. Don't yawn, it's great. Because it's basically telling a story. You tell a story between the both of you, so it's a nice, cool, shared game. And one of you is in charge of plot, which is the advanced bit. And the other one is in charge of describing everything that's mentioned in the plot. So
That's the colouring in.
That's the colouring in bit. So in this instance, let's make James in charge of the plot.
Oh, good.
And I'll be in charge of colouring in. James it's good to start your story with Once Upon a Time, because I feel like that makes it nice and easy. And often fairy tales are more fun. James will tell a few lines of story and then he'll stop and he'll let me describe what he's just said. It might look like this.
Once upon a time, there was a small spider called Timmy.
Timmy was green and hairy and had massive eyes and funny little sunglasses. He also had wheels on all of his feet.
Timmy lived in a web that hung in the bower of an old willow.
The willow was really old and really creaky and really tall and was almost bent in half. It was so old.
Every day the wind blew ferociously around the spider's web.
And the wind felt really, really cold to Timmy. Whenever it winded, it made his fur cold and he could feel all the tiny gaps in between the fur where there was no fur. And Timmy would shiver.
So Timmy resolved to spin himself the most warm cocoon he could.
And he did. The cocoon was really warm. It had central heating, underfloor heating, and insulation, and was really warm. It also had an ensuite bathroom, and it smelt of lovely, lovely fresh flowers.
The pride of Timmy's web cocoon was his library, which held all of the books that he'd used to learn how to spin web into standard plumbing sizes in his house.
Including all the Harry Potters. Anyway, so, as you can see, James is in charge of making stuff happen, and I was in charge of, like, when he stopped, just thinking about all the things he just said, and then thinking about how I could describe them. And all you're doing is describing the picture that you've made in your head already. I always like to think, what did something look like? What did the person sound like? What do things feel like? That's also very helpful. And sometimes, what do things smell like? That's a lovely one as well. I'm always like, what do things smell like? It's nice to have smells described in books.
Fresh baked bread.
So when we've done this, we then swap over. So I would do the plot and James would do the colouring in, which is also a lot of fun. And sometimes you find yourself better at one than the other, and that's fine. But it's kind of cool because you get to tell a story together.
Advance and colour.
Oh, and it's a nice one if you want to be sharey, if you want to share. Because you can't have a plot without the describings, and you can't really have the describings without the plot. Sometimes you'll feel yourself doing a little bit more of one than the other when you should be doing just one. And that's okay, because nothing in life is black and white.